There's a big line causing trouble for everyday lives. In recent weeks, lots of big ships filled with containers are stuck waiting at a very important place in world trade, the Panama Canal. This massive 80-kilometer long path for ships is now full of cargo ships, all wanting to go through this 100-year-old passage that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Around 14,000 ships use it every year, making up 6% of world trade. It's a crucial part of how things get to stores worldwide. But now, there are problems. Technical issues, not enough space, and problems with the weather. Why is this amazing engineering feat now in danger? That's what we'll explore in this new Superstructures episode. Let's start our journey into the heart of the Panama Canal by heading back to France in the late 19th century. Our destination is the time when a man known as the Great Frenchman, Ferdinand de Lesseps, took center stage. In 1880, he founded the Universal Company of the Panama Interoceanic Canal with a bold vision to connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. His ambitious plan involved cutting through an 80-kilometer stretch of land south of Panama, linking the Caribbean Sea and Panama Bay. This confident man had a remarkable track record, having played a key role in the success of the Suez Canal, opened just a decade earlier. Buoyed by his previous success, Ferdinand de Lesseps aimed to double down on his achievements. He repurchased the concession to the land, which still fell under the jurisdiction of the United States of Colombia. In 1882, the first shovels hit the ground, but challenges quickly emerged. The ambitious plan mirrored his success with the Suez Canal, but the Panama construction site presented a starkly different landscape. Overcoming the jungle and cutting through a hill nearly 100 meters above sea level posed substantial challenges. Moreover, the harsh climate took a toll on the workers, with tropical storms, mudslides, and the rapid spread of diseases like malaria and yellow fever. The project teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. Plans were revised to construct a canal with a lock, a suggestion endorsed by various stakeholders, including Gustave Eiffel, the future architect of Paris's iconic tower. However, this proposed change came too late, and the project became entangled in one of France's most significant financial scandals of the century. Tens of thousands of investors contributed to the project through a widespread public subscription. However, instead of funding a canal that was becoming increasingly impractical, this money was largely used to bribe public authorities. In 1889, Ferdinand de Lesseps' company faced financial ruin. This endeavor proved costly not only for the small investors who lost their money, but also for over 20,000 workers who lost their lives. Despite the failure, the allure of the Panama Canal endured. The route had been an object of desire since the 16th century, when Spanish conquistadors coveted its less than 100-kilometer stretch. The appeal was clear. This route would eliminate the need to navigate around the entirety of South America and brave the treacherous waters of Cape Horn, saving valuable time and resources. In 1903, Panama, with the support of the United States, declared its independence. Shortly afterward, the United States secured a perpetual concession for the canal and a 16-kilometer wide strip of land cutting across the country. Construction resumed in 1904, adopting the idea of a lock canal. The introduction of vaccines helped control the spread of tropical diseases. Over the course of 10 years, a sophisticated system of steam engines and innovative railway engineering, especially for managing the massive amounts of rock excavated during drilling, came into play. At its peak, nearly 40,000 workers were involved in the project. The cost to the United States was around $375 million, making it the country's most expensive venture at that time. Spanning 79.6 kilometers, the canal featured 2 artificial lakes and 3 enormous locks, enabling a historic passage across the American continent. Another 5,000 workers lost their lives during the construction of this groundbreaking project. The canal officially opened on April 15, 1914, coinciding with the onset of the First World War in Europe. The United States held complete control over this crucial maritime passage, determining the dimensions of the locks at 320 meters in length and 33 meters in width. These dimensions would go on to influence the standards for the new generation of large vessels, known as Panamax, with a width of 32 meters and a length of 294 meters. It wasn't until the 1970s that the process to transfer control of the canal and the American enclave back to Panama began. In 1999, Panama assumed ownership of the canal that bears its name, Today, the canal stands as one of the country's crucial financial assets, contributing 10% of its overall revenue. This significant economic impact is driven by the tax revenues generated and the various associated activities. However, passage through this unique corridor comes at a cost. According to the Canal Control Authority, fees for passage vary, starting at $10,000 for the smallest vessels and reaching up to $300,000 for the Neo-Panamax container ships, which are colossal, measuring 3.65 meters in length and capable of carrying nearly 12,000 containers. During peak periods, prices can escalate further, with certain slots being auctioned off by the port's administrators. In a recent instance, a chemical tanker paid $2.4 million to secure priority passage. This financial boon is facing uncertainty as the canal's current model is running out of time. The canal's operation relies on a system that persists to this day. Instead of clearing the land entirely, the engineers leveled the terrain and then flooded it with two artificial lakes, Lake Gatun and Lake Alajuela. These lakes are supplied by inland rivers. To navigate this terrain elevated 28 meters above sea level, a system of locks is employed to raise and lower the boats. It's an engineering marvel involving the use of locomotives on the canal banks to transport boats between locks. However, this system comes at a cost. Every time a boat traverses the canal, between 200 and 250 million liters of fresh water are discharged into the ocean. This becomes problematic when rainfall is insufficient, and climate change, particularly global warming, is altering the landscape. Droughts are becoming more frequent, with notable episodes in 2016, 2019, and a new one since May, a period typically marked by heavy rain in Panama. The situation is exacerbated by the arrival of the El Niño weather phenomenon. Water precipitation indicators in the region consistently register zero on weather maps, leading to a decline in river and lake levels. The situation is dire enough that authorities have initiated precautionary measures, including reducing the tonnage of boats to prevent them from grounding. The daily number of container ships using the canal has also been scaled back from 40 to 32, resulting in longer queues at the canal's entrance. Unlike the Suez Canal, which relies on a direct passage system, the Panama Canal employs a lock system, utilizing tugs and specially trained operators for this challenging task. The growing demand, coupled with limited capacity, has led to significantly increased wait times. In early September, Le Monde reported that waiting times for boats had surged from 4 days in normal circumstances to nearly 20 days in mid-August. Panama's queues were already attracting attention in 2006, as the canal struggled to accommodate the ever-growing size of container ships, larger, wider, and more massive than before. After a referendum vote, Panama initiated a $6 billion expansion of the canal, unveiling new locks in 2016 that allowed 95% of the world's ships to navigate through. Despite the colossal project and efforts to deepen Lake Gatun by 45 centimeters to accommodate more daily passages, it hasn't effectively addressed the water shortage issue. Faced with persistent drought, Panama finds itself somewhat helpless. Passage restrictions have been confirmed for the upcoming year, and if adequate rainfall doesn't occur by November, the end of the rainy season, the stakes become critical. If the situation persists, ship owners might explore alternative routes, such as the increasingly viable Arctic route during summer. The drying up of the canal doesn't just impact shipping routes, it also affects the lives of the local population. The two artificial lakes not only serve as a vital part of the Panama Canal, but also act as a crucial source of drinking water for Panama City and its suburbs, catering to over 2 million people, almost half the country's population. Recognizing the importance of addressing water needs, Canal Administrator Ricardo Vasquez revealed a proposed solution in mid-September, a new water reservoir west of the canal, formed by water from the Indio River. An 8-kilometer underground tunnel would connect this reservoir to the main artificial lake. However, the realization of this alternative water source depends on various factors, with estimates ranging from 3 months with abundant rainfall to around 2.5 years if drought persists. The Canal Management Company has proposed another potential project, which involves extracting liquid from Lake Bayano and redirecting it into the sea passage. However, these plans are still in the stages of consolidation, awaiting approval and funding before they can be implemented. In the latest press release, the company stated some improvement in the waiting times for boats compared to a month or two ago. However, the critical issue persists, as the water level in Lake Gatun remains more than 2 meters below seasonal norms. As we conclude this video, if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to Superstructures. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye!